Another packed house, and why not as we get to celebrate the Colorado State Ram win here this week, and the first career win for head coach Jay Norvell. Jay, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I know sometimes we say, well, you couldn't have written up any better to get that win against Nevada, your old team, but you actually could have written it up better.
Yeah.
It could have been your fifth career win.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
But congratulations on the win. I know that had to be sweet.
Yeah, it was very satisfying. It was a very emotional game, and it was a game we really needed, to be honest with you. I was just so proud of our team. We've been going through a lot the last few weeks, and I just think the group that we have is getting closer and closer, and you can start to see the personality of the kids that really care come out. I think it was really stifled the first part of the season, and for whatever reason, we had some kids that started the season that really weren't committed to playing, and now that those kids are leaving the program, I really see our kids playing together and play for each other. And, I told them last week, you really can't play this game well unless you play for somebody else. If you play unselfishly, you play for the love of your teammates. And I've been prodding this team to show me their soul, and they did Friday night.
Yeah, I know you had mentioned on your conversation with the team, and the Colorado State video department did a great job showing the locker room after the game. And you had mentioned that was one of the most proud that you have ever been for a football team in your coaching career.
No, I was very proud of them, and that was a very sweet victory. Sometimes you have to suffer defeat to really appreciate how special it is to win, and that was a good, hard-fought, tough road victory where we had to face adversity. We had to do some things in all three phases to really get the victory. We had so many players play well, and I was really proud of that. So proud of our defense. Our defense was magnificent. To score on defense is so rare, and to score twice is even more rare. And so just the plays that were made and just to see so many guys play with great effort. I thought we covered them great. I know Chiggy's here tonight. Our guys covered them really well in the back end. We tackled hard, and our defensive front was relentless. And, and then the two touchdowns were scored, Aiden Hector and Mukende. I mean, those guys haven't been starting. They're
Right.
backup players that are forced into roles, and so those guys, to have those kind of backup guys step up in such a big way is super satisfying.
Yeah, again, the Rams get the 17-14 win against Nevada last Friday night, and Coach Norvell goes back to Reno, a place he spent 5 years, and picked up the victory. And it really was a fun evening. That was a late night. And everybody in here stayed up for that thing, I hope, right? Did everybody see that field goal go through? Okay, good. I wasn't sure from my vantage point up in the press box, Jay.
It took forever.
I mean, that thing was high.
Forever.
I'm just like, oh, is that going to get there? Of course, from where I'm sitting, I can't tell if it's online either. But tell me what goes through your mind. I saw a little bit of the video. You were kneeling on the sideline, and what was the emotion that just flooded you when that field goal finally went through?
It's the thing that you think about, so many things have to go right at the end of the game there. And as bad as we were on offense, you got to give the guys credit. I mean, we practice those 2-minute situations every Monday. Chase Holbrook, our offensive analyst, I asked him to get a different situation that happens in college football every weekend. So that situation happened. We took one that happened last weekend. We practiced on Monday. And so we practice those situations over and over and over again. When to take timeouts, how to get out of bounds, what plays we like in those situations. And, and the kids executed it. We got down the field. You got to give Braden credit. He didn't have a great game as a quarterback, his first start as a freshman. But when it counted, he was pretty good. And so you got to give him credit for that. Torrey Horton was amazing. But even after we got in position to make the kick, They call timeout to ice him. He misses it badly. And we teach our guys on special teams, if a coach tries to ice you, snap it, get a kick, because you get a practice kick.
Right, yeah.
And so he missed it. We came back and he kicked it again, and they roughed him. And he got a couple practice kicks in there when they tried to freeze him, and I think it settled him down. He got a little confidence, and I'm Catholic. I had my rosary in my pocket, and I was working it over really.
Oh yeah.
But no, it's just and after the game, I said this in my post game. About halfway through the fourth quarter, there was a timeout, and I was standing there with the kids, and there's these moments during the game where you just kind of lose your. I looked up at the scoreboard, and they were showing these highlights, Mackey Magic, and they were all of our wins like that over the last 5 years. We had a bunch of games like that where we kicked last-minute field goals, and I just started smiling because I felt very at home, and I felt like something good was going to happen. And after the game, I gave Kim a kiss, and I said, we won a lot of games on this field like this tonight.
Right.
And so it was a great feeling, and very satisfying as a coach to see so many kids lay it on the line and really empty their tanks for each other, which is what it's about.
Yeah, you've won a lot of games in that stadium and in fashion like that. We talked about it in the program last week that Nevada switched sidelines this year. So you've won a lot of games on that particular sideline, too.
It was almost surreal because, when a new coach takes over, they want to change everything the old coach does. So, but they changed sidelines. So that's the same sideline we were on for 5 years, and then they changed what end they warmed up in. So we warmed up in the same spot we always warmed up in, and we called the game from the same sideline we were used to calling it from. So I appreciated him for doing that.
It worked out quite well. It was funny because we were coming live right before the kickoff, and you guys were coming out of your tunnel there, whatever that is, the southeast side of the stadium, and I said, let's listen in, and of course the boos are raining down. The student section is right there. It was I imagine that had to be quite a scene for you. I mean, the entire team as well, for you, for guys like Avery, for guys like Tori, and a student section that once had cheered you guys. I imagine they had some probably choice words for you guys coming out.
Yeah, there was a lot of choice words, but that's college football. You expect that, and
it made it fun though.
It did make it fun, and and I told the kids, I brought them up on Thursday, and I said, hey guys, I want you to know what we're getting into. This is going to be Friday night fights, and it's going to be an emotional game. But we got to understand what we're getting into here, and we got to go fight, and we got to fight for 4 quarters. We knew a lot of those kids. We recruited a lot of them. They're competitive kids. We knew we were going to get their best shot, and we needed to give them our best shot. But we needed to do it for each other. I think that was the most important thing. There were a lot of things said before the game. I was very conscious not to comment. I really didn't want to comment, because I didn't want to distract the kids. I wanted the kids to have their moment and play that game, and they needed to win it for each other.
All right, we have a lot to talk about in the program, and again, as Coach mentioned, we have Chiggy Anusium here, the defensive back, the transfer from Cal, and we have his position coach, Marcus Patton, in attendance as well, and we're going to get to those two gentlemen coming up a little bit later on in the program as well. We'll take our first time out. We're back here at CBM Potts after this to talk more about the win against Nevada. Back after this on the Colorado State Sports Network from Learfield. Tonight we're live at CBM Pots, restaurant and tap room. We're in Fort Collins as we have another edition of the Coors Light J. Norvell Coaches Show. Tonight's show is brought to you by Bank of Colorado. There's only one Colorado, one CSU, and one bank who cheers as loud as you do. That's Bank of Colorado. There's only one. All right, Brian Roth, head coach J. Norvell back with you. The Rams get the 17-14 win at Nevada last Friday night, and a date with Utah State coming up on this Saturday night, 5 p.m. kickoff out at Canvas Stadium, and weather looks like it's going to be fantastic. There's just tremendous festivities going on Friday into Saturday. It's going to be a great, great evening, and I know we're going to have a big crowd out there at Canvas Stadium. We'll continue to talk about the win against Nevada, against 17-14. And, you know, Jay, I just felt this team might need a spark or a big play to go your way to kind of get you guys some confidence, because it's one thing to go out there and play with effort, and we know you guys came out and played with a ton of effort. But sometimes you need things to kind of break your way. And obviously effort can help lead to things breaking your way. The two things work hand in hand. But, you know, to see your defense come out, Nate and Hector, to take that pick six. And it was the first real time I saw your sideline this year that was just bouncing and excited. And obviously it was the first time you had a lead this year too.
Right, that helps. Yeah.
That helps. But to see your defense come out and do that, I mean, they were fantastic.
No, they were great, and we just been pushing for execution, and you know, those kids were spot on, and you know, to get a couple of breaks like that was huge, and huge for our momentum, and so, you know, we got to build on that. That was something in the bye week we really pushed for, was trying to get more turnovers, and we certainly got it, and it was a big shot in the arm for us. Yeah,
Aiden Hector. I mean, here's a guy who comes from Washington State. That, you know, I know he was playing safety a lot in fall camp, but that you had some attrition with guys leaving at that nickel spot. And here's a kid who really got his first big chance at Colorado State.
Right.
And he goes out there, he had 8 tackles. I think he had a tackle for a loss, and then obviously had the pick six. And just a kid who – his number was called, he gets a chance, and he goes out there and shines.
No doubt, and that's all we've been talking about, is if you prepare a certain way, you pay attention in meetings, you practice, and you take care of the little things during the week, then you're ready to go on Saturday. And you know, and he played so well, and I think that's just an indication of what all of our kids can do if we continue to work and practice and prepare the right way. You know, this is a great example for our players, that, you know, if you eat right, you condition, you take care of yourself, and you do the things we ask you to do during the week, you got a chance to play really good.
You know, going into the game, I think I would have said your best defensive player this year, or at least one of them, would be Jack Howell. And, of course, Jack was not with you on the back end. But the good news was you got Henry Blackburn back. And I know you said Henry was really instrumental throughout the course of the week and gave a speech to the team on Thursday.
Yeah, just really spirited and just really kind of said, hey, this is our team. The guys that want to be here are our team. We don't have to worry about the rest of them, and just really let's really play hard for each other, and we need to do that. And I thought it was great. It was it was one of the first real passionate statements that I've heard from our kids, and I think it was a little bit of a rallying cry for our guys, and we certainly played like that. You know, he's a fiery competitor, and that's what this game is about. It's about your passion and your competitiveness, and it's got to show up, you know, on game day.
Yeah, defense as a whole. And again, we'll talk to Chiggy Anusium coming up a little bit later on the program and get his thoughts on the game. Couple more folks I do want to mention. Mo Camara continues to be a disruptive force. He had 4 tackles for a loss, and a guy on the edge that doesn't get as much notoriety as Camara and CJ, but Troy Golden, I thought, made some plays for you on Friday.
Troy did an amazing job. You know, CJ, Mo. You know, I can't say enough about Mo. Mo is working so hard in practice. And, you know, I told a story the other day at the press conference, but I was going over to talk to him, and he's out there working on scout team on the punt and punt return and trying to give the guys a good look. And here's a guy that plays all these snaps in defense. He plays on a number of special teams, and he just never stops working. And so he's been an amazing example for all those other young defensive linemen. And we got a lot of good young guys. You know, Mukende's a young guy, and we got several freshmen that are really good defensive ends. You know, and so he's given a great example for those kids.
All right, well, let's talk about the offense, because the defense got you a 14-point lead, and then, of course, we get into the fourth quarter, and all of a sudden it's a 14-14 game. And I think I mentioned to Ricky Brewer midway through the third quarter, I said, as well as the CSU defense is playing, I don't think 14 points wins this football game tonight. And so I don't know if we can count on another defensive score. I think this offense is going to have to get points if CSU is going to win this football game. And the final drive of the contest, and I, you know, when you needed it most, that offense came through, and really it was Torrey Horton. He had 4 catches, 47 yards on the final drive alone that led to the game-winning field goal.
He's an amazing competitor, and you know Torrey, I've said it a bunch. I think he's, you know, the class of the conference as far as wide receiver is concerned. You know, I got to say this about our offense. I was really proud of our offensive line. I thought our offensive line really played well on Friday night. We ran the ball really effectively. Avery Morrow had an excellent game, 168 yards. And really, you know, the penalties killed us.
Right.
If we had half the number of penalties we had, the game's not even close. And, you know, Avery was running the ball into the end zone a couple times. We had a penalty, then he had a fumble. But you do have to give the kids credit. You know, at the end of the game when we had to drive the ball from deep in our zone to get into field goal range, you know, guys did what they had to do. We had good protection. Brandon stood in there and made the throws. And, you know, Avery, you know, there's an old saying in football, in times of crisis, you think of players, not plays. And that was a great example of that.
Yeah, again, Avery Morrow, both the rushing attempts of 24, rushing yards of 168, both career highs by a large margin. And, of course, another Nevada transfer coming out really got your offense going. And then, of course, Torrey Horton finishing it off. It's apropos that you have those Nevada guys coming in and playing well. The offensive line, though, and we talked about this in the program last week. It was about as healthy as you guys are going to be all season long, save the first week because, of course, Brian Crespo-Jaquez is done for the year. But, boy, you guys found something in that run game. And it looked like you're running the same play over and over and over again. And I'm sure it wasn't that. But.
Well, similar schemes, but we kind of changed the sets and the formations, and we were having a lot of success with our counter scheme.
Right.
But that's what we're capable of doing. And I think, you know, that's what we have to do. We have to lean on our experienced players. Our offensive line has played a lot of games. We have good running backs. You know, we won our first conference game, and we started 3 freshmen on offense, true freshmen that were like at prom a few months ago.
Yeah, just a few months ago.
I mean, not red shirt, you know, true freshmen, you know.
Yep.
You know, and they asked me about these kids, and, you know, it's just a reality of what we're playing with. We're playing with guys that their experience, their last playing experience is high school. You know, and you get into some bad habits in high school because you're a better player, better athlete than the other guys, and they think they can outrun the defensive linemen, and they can't. You know, I just tell them you're not that fast. You're going to get hit, so you have to throw the ball away, and sometimes those lessons are really hard, but that's what we're kind of dealing with, and we have to – the formula for us is to play great defense, great special teams, run the football, scratch and claw for as many points as we can. And if we can do that, you know, we got to punt the ball well too. You know, Patty's got to punt well. If we can win that field position battle, we can make it really hard on teams, and we can be a really hard team to beat the rest of the season.
Yeah, I do want to bring this up about the offensive line as well. Obviously, the offensive line gave up a bunch of sacks early in the season. They've only given up 3 sacks, Jay, in the last 3 weeks.
2 were the quarterback's fault.
Yes, and 2 were the quarterback's fault.
Yes, sir.
So obviously, it's an offensive line that's been getting some laughs here. What does it mean when it's the quarterback's fault? Holding on to the ball too long?
Yes, sir. He should have threw it away much earlier.
Yep. Speaking of quarterbacks, and I'm sure nobody in here is curious about that position at all for your football team, Jay. Clay Millen, it seems like he is going to be missing his second consecutive game with that shoulder sprain. Braden Fowler-Nicolosi got beat up a little bit in that game against Nevada, and earlier today reported that you said that Giles Pooler, the Rocky Mountain High School kid, is going to make his first start.
Yes, he
on
is.
Saturday.
He's going to start Saturday, and we're really excited about Giles. You know, Giles has done an amazing job since we got here. He's been such a surprise. He's such a bright kid. He's studied extremely hard. He's always knocking on our door at 2 o'clock in the afternoon to watch film every day, and that's what you have to do to be good at quarterback in our system. I just felt like this year is going to be one of those years where we're going to play probably several different quarterbacks, and you know, Clay's going to be better. He'll be back, but not this week. Probably next week, hopefully, we'll get Clay back. And, you know, when Clay was playing, he was throwing for the highest percentage in the league. I mean, we were getting some passing production with Clay in there. But, you know, he's had to take a step back. I think he's going to be fine after he gets back, and he'll be better for taking this break. Braden got beat up a little bit. You know, we're still excited about Braden. But he didn't get a chance to practice on Monday and Tuesday, and we just feel like Giles gives us the best chance to win. And I think he deserves that opportunity, and we're excited about him.
Yeah, Giles is a kid who grew up here in Fort Collins. Then when COVID hit, decided to go do a senior year down in Louisville, Kentucky. Of course, his mom, I know, has longstanding ties to Colorado State University as well. So a local kid going to be playing quarterback and starting for the Rams on Saturday. Does that mean that Braden's not going to dress, or will he dress? And Jackson Stratton's, I know, also in that quarterback room.
I think Braden will be available to play by Saturday. He just hasn't practiced a whole lot. And then Jackson will also be ready. We're getting him ready too.
Yep, indeed. All right, we'll take a timeout. Homecoming coming up here this Saturday. It's going to be a fun Saturday evening. We'll talk about that with head coach Jay Norvell coming up next as we return to Sabian Potts Restaurant and Tap Room. We're live on the Colorado State Sports Network from Learfield. live in Fort Collins, of course, by Jay Norvell Coach's Show. Great to have everybody with us in a packed room here at CBN Potts. Tonight's show brought to you by Canvas Credit Union. They're proud to be the official credit union of the CSU Rams. You can visit them, their CSU branch of the Laurie Student Center today to open up an account. All right, Brian Roth and head coach Jay Norvell back with you again. One more segment with the head coach, and then we'll talk to Chiggy Anusium, the defensive back for the Rams, and wrap it up with Marcus Patton as we take you up to the top of the hour. All right, Utah State coming into town on Saturday night, 5 p.m. kickoff, but the festivities start well before then. It's homecoming and family weekend, and let's also do this before we get into all the festivities. Can we get a shout out for the folks from the Alumni Association back here, Christy Bolender and her crew, Lisa Hansen? They do fabulous work. They threw a great party in Ann Arbor a few weeks ago. That was fabulous. Friday, they had the festival in the Oval, 3 to 6 p.m. There's food trucks, beer garden, live music, kids' activities there, and then you just head across campus and to the lagoon over there by the Student Center. Friday night lights, there's a pep rally, bonfire. My kids absolutely love the bonfire, fireworks, and then the lighting of the A. And then, of course, Saturday, you have all the tailgating that leads up to the game. Also, want to mention Nico Medved and the men's basketball team scrimmaging 1 to 3 p.m. on Saturday. Go out and see that. Come across campus and watch Coach Norvell's team play Utah State. Well, you know, Jay, I imagine your football team, based on what happened last week, the way they did it, the way that they pulled together, how hard they played with the passion they played, and probably a little extra pep in their step here this weekend. I bet they're raring to go.
Yeah, I mean, you can really coach them harder when they win, you know, and that's really what we're doing. We're really trying to take this positive game that we had and show the players examples of how we have to do things. And, you know, every game's going to be like this. I mean, we're going to have to fight like crazy and to the very end and have that kind of mindset. But I think we see the confidence that, you know, we built from this last game, and we can build on that. And I think that's going to help us as we move forward. And this is a quality team we're playing. I mean, they beat a good Air Force team last week. They've gone through their share of problems with injuries and with playing different quarterbacks, and you know, they're working through them. And I've had a lot of respect for Blake Anderson and his career. We played him in our first bowl game when he was at Arkansas State, and we had an overtime barn burner kind of game. And so, you know, I just have a lot of respect for him and his style and what he does with his football team. Yeah, and of course, his first year last year, they shock everybody in the Mountain West Conference, and they win the conference to go 11-3 after only winning one game in 2020. And he probably had a lot of bounces go their way, but, boy, you got to give them credit as well. They won the LA Bowl against Oregon State as well. They've struggled here, and they went into last week with a 4-game losing skid, and you guys went into last week with a 4-game skid, and then each team getting emotional victory. Yeah. So two teams that are kind of familiar meeting each other on Saturday night. You look at their quarterback situation, and, you know, Logan Bonner was their quarterback last year, was really good, came in this year, got hurt. They bring in a new guy who hadn't really played at all. His name's Cooper Legas, by the way. It's spelled Legas, but it's pronounced Legas. I had no idea until this week as well. But he seems to give them kind of an added dimension with his legs. Yeah, he's an athletic guy and you know, all-around athlete in high school and you know, does a good job. I mean, they want to run the ball. They want to use the quarterback at times, and they want to spread you out with these unusually wide splits, kind of the Art Briles system from Baylor. And when I was in the Big 12, we used to play Baylor all the time when they used to use that system. And it's just unusual. You just don't see many teams do it. And so you have to understand why they're doing it and make sure you're in position to play the things that they like to do. Yeah, it's an offense that scored 34 points last weekend. Meanwhile, their defense, Jay, they look like they're getting better and better and better. I mean, they held Air Force to 264 rushing yards last week. And if you can hold, in my book, if you can hold Air Force under 300 rushing yards, you've done a darn good job. Yeah, they play very hard. Yeah. They're a hard-playing team. I always thought Utah State had really quick athletes. Not necessarily biggest guys, but a lot of quick guys that really could be effective, and they play very hard. And so it's going to be a challenge for us. But we've got to do the things that we have to do to help us win the football game.
Yep, I know there's going to, again, be a big crowd at Camas Stadium coming up on Saturday night. Should be a lot of fun. Of course, a long-standing rivalry with Colorado State and Utah State. Jay, congratulations again on the win at Nevada. Best of luck coming up Saturday night.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, that's head coach Jay Norvell here on the Coaches Show. We'll give Jay a break. He'll eat some dinner. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, Chiggy and Newsium will join us here in Fort Collins. Back after this on the Colorado State Sports Network from Learfield.
Great.
Segments left here tonight of the Coors Light J. Norvell Coaches Show live from CB and Potts Restaurant and Tap Room in Fort Collins. And love the cowbells here tonight. Kim Norvell started the cowbells, and now it's starting to spread across the room. I love it. And, if you're going to come on out, bring your cowbell, why not? We certainly can use the extra energy. Brian Roth, voice of the Rams, back with you. And happy to be joined by Chigozie Anuzium, the defensive back for Colorado State. Welcome, Chigozie.
How you doing?
And I've been calling you Chiggy all season, which is kind of the nickname, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, so I'll tell you what. I've been really impressed by this Ram defense, particularly last Friday night. But, we were wondering who was going to be anchoring the cornerback spot coming into the season. And of course, we knew about this transfer from Cal. And I remember talking to Freddie Banks after about the second scrimmage, and I said, the kid from Cal, Anuzium, he's going to play for you this year? And he goes, oh, yeah. He's our number one shutdown corner. What goes through your mind when you hear something like that?
I'm appreciative for sure. I definitely work hard for that title, so I'm appreciative.
All right, so tell us a little bit about your history, because you think about the name Anuzium and Chigozie. You said you're Nigerian and your parents immigrated from Nigeria.
Yeah, my dad, he came here for college. He went to Texas Southern, and then after school he moved to California. So we've been here my whole life.
And you've been here your whole life. He's an Orange County kid, and again, he started his football career at Cal, played 4 seasons there at Cal, and then decided to transfer to Colorado State. Why Colorado State? What was it about Jay Norvell and this coaching staff to bring you to Fort Collins?
Yeah, so I played against Coach Norvell last year at Cal. We played Nevada. Their team, they beat us, but so they kind of surprised me, honestly. They had really good talent. But when I talked to Norvell on the phone, so I was actually transferred to Hawaii for a couple of days, and then when Coach Graham resigned, I transferred here. But talking to Norvell, it just kind of I only talked to him for a couple of minutes, but I kind of felt like a genuine vibe that came from him. And same thing with Coach Banks. So I just kind of felt like a family already just from a couple phone calls.
Yeah, and Fort Collins is a lot better than Honolulu. Let me tell you. Now, as a California kid, I'm not sure if you're going to be thinking the same thing when we hit December, but I might take Hawaii in December. Well, it's good to have you here. What are your thoughts on Colorado so far? And again, you're a California guy, thought about going to Hawaii, but out here in Colorado, Fort Collins, Colorado State, give us your thoughts.
I actually like it. It's a nice change of pace from California. It's very college kid friendly, so I've been having a good time here.
All right, this is a defense that seems to be getting better. Talk a little bit about the progression of this defense. And, obviously you've lost some guys in the secondary, but, man, the guys with Greg Leday and you at the 2 corners, and, of course, you talk about Angel and Henry and Jack in the secondary. The progression seems to be getting better and better each and every week.
Yeah, for sure. We're just kind of understanding how to play with each other. So, obviously, fall camp or practice is good, too, but games, it's nothing like games. You can't mimic games. So, just everybody getting better from AJ, myself, to really Jack, and then getting Henry back last week was huge.
All right, Chigozie Anuzium joining us here on the program, the 6'1" defensive back from Orange County, transfer from Cal. What was the mindset going into that game last week? Obviously, everybody understood what were the storylines, what was on the line, in particular for the Nevada players. What was that mindset?
Yeah, we took it very personally, and for sure in the defensive room, we took it very personally. They made some comments during the week, and we know guys that go there, so it was we was ready for a fight, and that's what it was.
It seemed like from the press box, there was a brawl out there on the field within the rules of football, obviously, but there just seemed to be an extra level of intensity. Could you feel that, and how would you describe that level of intensity on the field that night?
Yeah, no, I could definitely feel it. There was definitely animosity. I didn't come from Nevada, but there was definitely bad blood on the field. I enjoyed it, though, honestly. I enjoyed it. I felt like our defense played the hardest we've played all season, so I think this is just something to build off of.
Yeah, what's it like when you see a teammate like Aiden Hector snatch that ball in the air and take it for a house call?
No, it's funny because Aiden, he's a funny dude. If y'all don't know, he's hilarious to be around. But just him preparing throughout the week and like us helping him get ready for that game, it was just kind of like Like, it was a good moment for us to see.
Yeah, indeed. And boy, it was then McKendy followed it up with the fumble recovery for the touchdown. And again, the Rams get that 17-14 win at Nevada. Has there been a different feel at the football complex this week? Because you kind of got that monkey off the back. You got that win. Now it's time to move forward and get more.
Yeah, definitely. Practices picked up in intensity because obviously we're playing Utah State, who are the defending champs, and they're coming off a big win. So we understand that, like, we had a good win versus Nevada, so let's keep building off it and not revert back to, what was making us lose games. So the feel at practice has definitely been like 110, like on go.
Yeah. All right. So this is a Utah State team that now really has a really good running quarterback in Cooper Laga. Does that change the way as a cornerback that you have to play, or are you just kind of locked into your guy? Because I know they put you on the number one receiver most times. Are you just locked in, or do you now have to be a little more cognizant of the quarterback spot?
I guess it gives or takes on the coverage. We're going to be in a lot of man this game, hopefully. So it's just be me and the receiver on the island. But when the quarterback does run, hopefully he comes my way.
We're going to be in man, hopefully.
Yeah.
You like going 1v1 man coverage.
Yeah, for sure.
That's good to hear. Final thought. Obviously, you're a graduate transfer. Tell us what you're studying and life after football. What are the plans?
Okay, so I got my degree in legal studies, my undergrad in legal studies. I'm working towards my master's in psychology one day. So after football is all said and done, probably come back to like a college, be like a sports therapist for student athletes.
It's a great future indeed. Jiggy, thanks so much. Appreciate you coming on out tonight.
Thank you.
All right. Jiggy Anusian, defensive back for Colorado State. He has been really, really good here this season. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll wrap up the show. Marcus Patton, cornerbacks coach at Colorado State, joins us next on the Colorado State Sports Network from Learfield. Jay Norvell Coaches Show live here, CBN Potts Restaurant Tap Room in Fort Collins. And let's welcome Marcus Patton, cornerbacks coach here at Colorado State, to the program, and a newcomer to CSU as all of these assistant coaches and the head coaches as well. Marcus, great to have you. Give us an idea of your history as a college football coach. You played your college football at Kansas State, and then, well, you've been a lot of different places, but you came here from Tarleton State down in Texas.
Yep. I was the defensive coordinator at Tarleton State. So my connection here, Coach Norvell played for Hayden Fry at Iowa.
Right.
And I played for Bill Snyder at Kansas State. Coach Snyder is a Hayden Fry guy. So a lot of the things that Coach Norvell does and a lot of the people that he know in the profession, I know him also because, I played under the same tree. So,
right.
That brought part of the connection. And then me and the defensive coordinator, Coach Banks, we used to compete against each other in Texas. So we had some battles.
Who'd win those battles?
It went half and half. Okay. We got the back end, they got the front end, I guess.
Right. Well, that's good. What have been your thoughts so far working with Coach Norvell and this defensive coaching staff at a place like Colorado State, where you look at the Mountain West Conference, the facilities are right up there at the top?
Yeah, I love it here. A lot of the things that Coach Norvell does and the messages that he sends, it brings me back to my days at Kansas State, because a lot of it's rooted, I'm sure he's been heavily influenced by Hayden Fry, because a lot of the stuff that I hear him say and a lot of the things that we do is familiar because it's some of the same things we did at Kansas State, and we had a lot of success there. So I just really enjoy that. And then, the defensive staff, I couldn't ask for a better group of guys to work with. We all get along. We joke around a lot, make fun of each other. They always tease me about being a man-to-man guy, because everywhere I've ever been, even when we played a lot of man.
Right.
So I'm a man guy.
Well, I still remember Jay. I think it was his introductory press conference on December 6th of last year, and said, "Hey, we want to really press on the outside." So yeah. I think you have a head coach that kind of has some of the same views, right?
That was a big part of the interview process. We talked about press man probably for about an hour.
Yeah. So, yeah. And you also spent a couple of years at Colorado Mesa out in Grand Junction. So you do have some Colorado background.
Yeah. So my family, we were in Grand Junction, Colorado, the Western Slope. My kids loved it there. We were there for 2 years. Had some success there. It was a nice town. They actually were really disappointed when we left to move to Texas.
Yeah.
So that was a disappointment for them, because it was just a really nice town.
Yeah. No, it's in the Western Slope of Colorado is absolutely beautiful as well. I look at the defensive coaching staff, and man, you guys are young.
Yeah.
I mean, who's the eldest statesman on the staff?
They call me the old man.
You're the old man.
But I got a young spirit, though, so I feel like I'm younger than all those guys.
Well, you're pretty far from being an old man. Let me just tell you by looking at you. But yeah, and then I imagine that brings a little bit extra energy, a little extra vibe in some of those defensive staff rooms.
Oh yeah. It's a lot of fun, a lot of energy, cracking a lot of jokes. But we do our work, and we prepare.
Yep. Marcus Patton, the cornerbacks coach here for Colorado State, now in his first season, joining us on the Jay Norvell Show. A few minutes left in the program. Well, you mentioned you like to play man, really press coverage. We heard Chiggy saying he likes to play man press coverage. Give us a little bit of an idea of what kind of football player this kid has turned out to be. And every time I watch him out there, he seems to be doing terrific work.
So I always make fun of Chiggy. I tell him that he refers to himself in third person. Because, Chiggy, he's one of those guys that every time we get a new guy in or a guy in on a visit, he's always asking them what they're good at. Because Chiggy's go challenge you in pretty much anything that you do. I mean, and he's a really talented guy.
Yeah.
And he's really confident, and that's one of the keys to being an elite corner. You gotta believe in yourself. Like everywhere I've ever been, a lot of people don't like corners because their personalities, how they come across as arrogant at times. But, we talk about it in our meeting room all the time. When you're playing in front of a big crowd and you one-on-one press and you going against a receiver that's a 4-3 receiver and he's 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", you better believe in yourself, because it's not an easy thing to do. You don't know what they're doing. And, referees always want to throw flags on us, so we got a lot of things going against us. So if you ain't got confidence, cornerback is not a good position for you to play.
That's right. There's no question about that. It's interesting. He talks to the third person, so he probably walks up the line of scrimmage and said, Jiggy going to shut you down right now, man.
That sounds like Chiggy.
That is fabulous. All right, final thought. Kind of give us an idea of the feeling of this football team following last week's win and of your secondary.
It was exciting to win the game, especially the way that we won it, because everybody's been working so hard, and like Coach Norvell hinted at, that we had some guys that weren't all the way bought in, so we kind of had to weed through that, and Coach Norvell did a great job of leading us and pounding the message. Even though things were looking, weren't always looking like it was going in the right direction, but he kept pounding the message, and the guys that believed, they kept believing, and, it kind of turned the corner a little bit, last Friday, and it was exciting. A funny story, last week, when we were, or the week before when we were on our bye week, in our meeting rooms, we always talk about wanting to play more man, and Chiggy's like the main one said, Coach, can we play more man? I'm like, Chiggy, I'm not the D coordinator. And I was like, just keep doing your job and we'll get to play more man. So Coach Banks called me during the bye week. We're on the road recruiting, and he said, he called me Pat. He said, Pat, he said, what do you think our best defense is? And I already knew what the answer was.
Yep.
So I said, I don't know. What is it? He said, it's man. I was like, huh. He said, you ready to play more man this week? I'm like, yeah, let's do it.
From CB and Potts Restaurant
And
and
I came in the room and I told Cheeky, and Cheeky just started smiling.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
and those guys, they responded. They played hard and they played well, and we played good defense.
Yep, and the Rams got the win. Marcus, thanks so much. Thanks for coming out. Best of luck the rest of the year. All right, that's Marcus Patton joining us here on the show tonight. A big thank you to Chiggy and Newsium, Bradford Camp back at Learfield Master Control. Brian Ross saying so long tonight. We'll talk to you on Saturday.
on the Collindale.